The cells in our bodies all have a specific size, shape, function, uniformity, and arrangement. At homeostasis, those cells just hang out, doing their jobs and reproducing normally. However, the function of a cell can become altered in response to stressors. Some of the conditions that could cause these alterations to occur is change in oxygenation, temperature, toxins, and electrolytes. There are 5 altered cell types that we will be discussing. They are atrophic, hypertrophic, hyperplastic, diplastic, and metaplastic. The cell has a choice to either adapt in one of the ways mentioned or by changing size, number, or structure, or to die. Atrophic cells are those that have become smaller in size. Atrophy occurs when a signal the cell relies on to function is removed. The atrophy or shrinking of the cell can be brought on by lack of movement, decreased oxygen, decreased hormones, loss of nerve supply, poor nourishment, and more. Essentially, if the cell is receiving less of a signal, their function decreases and they shrink. An example that we all can probably relate to is when a body part is placed in a cast for immobilization after a fracture. With a body part casted, it does not move for several weeks. Without movement, the signals for the muscle cells to work is decreased and therefore they shrink. The shrinking of this muscle cell is evident once the cast comes off, and it can be seen that the muscles in that body part are smaller than the contralateral body part. Hypertrophic cells are those that have become bigger in size due to an increase in hormone signals or workload. This alteration type is the exact opposite of atrophic. The most common way that we see this is in those that lift weights. With an increased demand on the muscle cells work harder, the skeletal and cardiac muscle fibers are stimulated and therefore increase in size and gain more structural proteins. It is also seen during pregnancy with an increase in hormones that allow mothers to make breast milk. Hyperplastic refers to cells that have increased in number. This occurs for similar reasons to hypertrophy with an increase in hormone signaling and workload. The two, hyperplasia and hypertrophy, are actually often seen together. Using the example of breast tissue, hyperplasia occurs in response to hormone changes during puberty. This causes the breast to increase in size of lobular and ductal tissues. Metaplastic cells occur when a cell changes from one type to another in response to persistent stressors. Oftentimes, once the stressor is removed, the cells will revert back to their original cell type. Exposure to smoking is a good example of this change. When an individual smokes, the cells within their lungs are stressed and in turn make a metaplastic change. In order to survive, the cells change from columnar cells to squamous cells to protect themselves. The squamous cells are those that make up our skin, and they help protect the lungs to keep a better protective barrier from the smoke toxins. Diplastic cells are those that have a change in size, shape, uniformity, arrangement, and structure. These changes will occur in response to a constant stressor, but can also revert back when the stressor is removed. Dysplasia is considered a problem in regulating cell growth and happens when there is an abnormal differentiation of dividing cells. During reproduction, the cell DNA may be reproduced with mutations to the chromosomes that are then repeated as more cell reproduction occurs. This may often signal early changes that may progress into cancer.